So, yeah. Thoughts on Celsius? I think Celsius is interesting. I'd imagine Celsius, like a lot of companies, are doing poorly today. Yeah, down 4.6%. If I hold stock in Celsius, I definitely hang on to it. I think it's a decent acquisition target. Um, I could see Coke or Pepsi acquiring this. As far as its current valuation right now, it's a little bit rich for me. I know it's a premium beverage brand that usually trades at higher PEs. It's got fantastic marketing and distribution. A lot of things to like about it. If the price continues to trend in the direction it is, there are things I would like it. I would definitely consider it. Tesla, good buy right now. It's dipping so hard. I don't buy automotives, let alone Tesla. Yeah, no. I'm not a shareholder in Tesla. Probably never will be. SoFi valuation just seems so high. I agree. I agree, Branson. Microsoft or Google long term? That's a tough one. Both. I'd say both. Why not both? There are things to like about both. One of my highest conviction stocks is a BIP. Thoughts? Brookfield Infrastructure Partners. This one. Can't say I've heard of them. If this is in fact the company you're talking about. Transport midstream and data business. Okay. Energy, natural gas, just data transmission. Okay, cool. So it looks like it's a fund. Is this a fund that LP? So is this like a PE, a publicly traded PE fund under the Brookfield umbrella? Could be an interesting play. I'd have to look at each of what their holdings are. If you're high conviction about it, that is certainly interesting. I'd love to know more about that. What's going on with Meta? There's just a tech sell-off. Treasury yields are spiking. Oil touched $100 a barrel today because the Houthis decided to pew a couple of Saudi oil tankers in the Bab el-Mandeb. What do you think of Novo Nordisk as a long-term investor? Harold, I think that if you have high conviction about pharmaceuticals and you like GLP-1s, but you want European exposure as opposed to American exposure, Novo Nordisk is the way to go. I know Novo Nordisk and Eli Lilly are currently locking horns at the moment out of some, defamation claims and that kind of stuff. Or at least there's some word of that. I heard about a lawsuit. Novo Nordisk is a solid company. There are a lot of things to like about Novo Nordisk. They produce a good product. They're trading at a very low valuation, though. That's the thing. That's one thing that I want to know why that is. Waste management. I'm a fan of waste management. I like waste management. Eli Lilly just purchased ATAI. Does this prove beneficial for long hold? CJ, it's probably a really small market because I know ATAI was basically at Beckley. They were in the business of basically providing psilocybin treatment. Yeah, that looks like that deal went through, or it will go through soon. So getting Eli Lilly basically getting into that game is interesting. It's definitely gonna be a pretty small part of their revenue. It's a small market, I think. So if you currently own stock in this company, I'd definitely hang on to it. Depending on what the terms of the deal are, whether it's cash or stock, or debt, or some mixture of debt, could be pretty interesting. I'd definitely hang on to it. Did I do Archer Aviation? I've looked at Archer Aviation. It's fun. It's cool. They got some neat toys. I'm not optimistic about their long-term prospects. What do I think about Pepsi and McDonald's at these prices? I know that McDonald's is, I think they're around like an 18 or no 22 PE. Last I checked, they were at an 18. The things to like about McDonald's are that their international growth has been really, really impressive. The challenge with McDonald's, at least with growth within the U.S. and how they're going to make more money, is you basically have to play a real estate development game. And they have to do it well. They have to find a lot more franchisees who are willing to take on that risk. Obviously, there's the brand, like there's tons of moat in the brand of McDonald's itself. It's probably one of, if not the most recognizable brand in the world. I mean, I don't even know of a country that doesn't have a McDonald's in it. So there are things to like about it from that perspective. I wouldn't imagine there would be there could be a ton of upside from here. We'll see though, but it's had a rough year. I mean, we'll take a look at its Q2 earnings when they come out on August 4th, so it could be interesting. Russia and North Korea, fair enough. Yeah, they don't have McDonald's, fair enough. They're getting what they deserve. We don't have Mickey D's in Yemen. Okay. Fair enough. Or Afghanistan. You're right. Okay. Yeah, I spoke too soon. You guys are definitely correct. Fair. Completely fair. Most places have a McDonald's though, I'd say. How about Oracle? Oracle is not, I'm not really a fan of Oracle. There's a massive credit risk with the OpenAI spending commitments. And the S&P downgrade was not something I liked about it, to be honest. Thoughts on notable EU to individual stocks? As far as European companies I think Novo Nordisk is a great company. I don't think you could go wrong investing into Airbus. I mean, Airbus is eating Boeing for lunch. They're taking Boeing's lunch for sure, and honestly, rightfully so. My experience on Airbus flights have typically been better as of late. Just my personal experience, though. As far as other European companies, there's things to like about Rheinmetall. I think Rheinmetall is an interesting one. That's on my short list of upcoming deep dives. Maybe a couple of others, if I think about it a little bit more. What do I think of Nvidia tomorrow? We'll see. Most of the movement we're seeing today, though, is because of geopolitical events that are going on. Part of the tech and the tech sell-off, the SaaS sell-off, and even in some semi spaces and GPU spaces, Nvidia included, is not necessarily because of. I think investors are just kind of getting spooked with what's going on. Rheinmetall's down large since highs. That's right, it is. Which could be an interesting buying opportunity given its price. Thoughts on defense and military in the stocks such as Kongsberg Group and Mads? I'd have to take a look at them specifically. I haven't looked at any of their financials or their balance sheets or the income statements or anything like that. My best performer today is Lockheed Martin. However, I mean, a lot of people are familiar with this one. Up 10.8% today, and I'd imagine that's because of what's going on in the Bal Bel Mendeb at the moment. Where do I think Oracle will bottom? Hard to call, Juan, but I could see it hitting $110 a share. I could see it hitting at $110 a share. There's things to like about Oracle. Here's the thing. I think there's a very high opportunity cost in investing in Oracle because you're giving up money that could go towards a better company, i.e. Google, i.e. Meta, i.e. Microsoft, other Mag 7 and other hyperscalers. Begging me to talk about Nebius. Yeah, Nebius, how are they doing today? I think they were flat for the most part. Yeah. Up a little bit. Most neocloud companies, from a long-term perspective, I'm not a fan of what their business model is or what their moat is. Nebius, however, is one that I think is on the safer side, just because their financials don't look as bad as some of their competitors, and they're primarily based in Europe, which kind of insulates them from competition in Europe, because most CapEx dollars for hyperscaling is occurring within the U.S. So I get why people like Nebius. I get why it's a popular stock. It's had a pretty good month so far, or at least we've had a bit of a recovery. I should say a couple weeks. We'll see if this trend continues. But it's expensive for my taste. Is it morally wrong to invest in defense and weapons manufacturing? That's not. I'm not. That's not my game. That's up for you to decide if you want to do that. Thoughts on SoFi? SoFi's expensive. It's expensive. Honestly, their story's kind of boring. And they're down another 2.5% today. They've had a rough week. Yeah. It's okay. It's okay. But essentially, for what's a bank with some additional bells and whistles on it, I'm not that impressed. Why is Meta dropping so much? Meta's dropping probably because of what's going on geopolitically at the moment. And also probably because of Google's earnings yesterday. Thoughts on Nike? I'm bullish on Nike. Penguin Solutions. Can I have a ticker for Penguin Solutions? I recognize the name, but I need a ticker. MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy is a house of cards. This is not a good business. This company's its entire model is contingent upon what the price of Bitcoin is. It's not. From a risk-adjusted basis, it's not a very good look. I'm not a fan of them. Bullish on Nike. Have you seen the charts? Yes. Banks, you should go watch my video on them. I did a 25-minute deep dive on my YouTube channel into Nike. Nike's going to zero. That's hilarious. Thoughts on Salesforce? Salesforce is fine. I mean, they're much bigger than competitors like ServiceNow. They have better margins, better cash flow, more sales, all that type of stuff. It's priced very differently from ServiceNow. ServiceNow is somewhere around like 58 times earnings, and this is only sitting at about 18. That's an interesting gap. That's an interesting. I don't know if it's a market discrepancy. I'm sure it's probably not. But I think your decision on whether you should choose to invest into Salesforce or some other business is you'd have to look at what your assumptions for growth are, because the market's a lot more optimistic about growth assumptions for ServiceNow versus Salesforce. I think it's worth finding out why that is. PENG is the ticker for Penguin. All right. Yeah, these guys I remember checking these dudes out. I just need a quick reminder. Optimized integrated memory. That's right. And I think they're based in the Bay Area in California. Yeah, Fremont. I mean, they're in the right space. They're in an exciting space. I don't know a ton about them. So it's been mentioned a couple times here during my live streams. I'm sure there's some things to like about them. As far as what would make them an exciting company, I can't say specifically. The valuation isn't totally insane. The problem, though, is that we're sitting at a 2.8 beta, and it's had an extremely good year. So it's probably worth asking whether this is a good entry point into the company. I don't know if it is or not. It would probably take a pretty close look at what its financials are like and what its growth prospects are like. Buy more Google, Amazon, Microsoft dip, or put more into total U.S. market ETF? I think the Mag 7 dip is a better idea. That's for now. I think the Mag 7 dip's a better idea. Check out MRN and MSS, both penny stocks. Whales loading them up. Nah. Intel's results are dropping in a half hour. Is that true? I think so, actually. Yeah, right after the bell. They're going to report Q2 earnings after the bell. Expected is $14.4 billion in revenue. And they're projected to have 19 cents per share in earnings, up from an adjusted loss of 10 cents per share a year ago. Okay. Gross margins expected to improve. We'll see. This is actually a big one for Intel. This could be I'm not going to say a make or break moment, but it's an important earnings call because this is the expected one where they finally become profitable. If that is in fact the case. Thoughts on nuclear? It's there's a lot to like about nuclear. I love the staying power of nuclear. The regulatory hurdles are a little concerning. Thoughts on Broadcom? Can it surpass some Mag 7 companies? I wouldn't bet on it. No. I would not bet on it. AVGO is better than NVIDIA. That's a bold claim. How many stocks do I hold? Currently in my portfolio, let's see. In my personal portfolio, I think it's around 8. I do need to adjust it though. There are some positions I do need to change. At the moment, things are about even for the day. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11 individual stocks, then 2 ETFs. SpaceX is so bad, bro. My portfolio was 100% that, and I'm down 40%. That was a silly choice. And I'm sure SpaceX is it recovering from the past couple of days. Yeah, it's okay. It's about up 1%. Honestly, I might get into a short position on SpaceX because this company is so hilariously overvalued at the moment. It's almost not funny. Don't you think more hyperscalers will go away from GPU spending and focus on ASIC? We'll see. Maybe it's possible. The problem is that there's such a massive backlog for NVIDIA's products, that I wouldn't imagine that GPU spending would suddenly. I mean, it's not going to stop. There might be like a shift. Things might get phased down slowly over time, but we'll see. Take-Two Interactive. I'm bullish on TTWO. I like TTWO. I know it's had the last couple of weeks have been kind of and I think today is just not enough. Yeah, it's another meh day for Take-Two. But to be honest, I still like it even at this price. It's a solid company. I may end up loading up on more shares. My target for Take-Two is $285 a share, and it could go higher into 2027. SpaceX I would buy at $38. I would consider SpaceX at somewhere around $60. And I'm so disappointed with Tesla and SpaceX. Yeah, I mean, listen, that's what you get when you buy into the biggest IPO ever, which was, I think, the most disappointing IPO in 2 decades, and a company that's trading at nearly 400 times earnings. Thoughts on CoreWeave? CoreWeave is by far my least favorite neocloud. I have multiple short positions in this company. This is probably my highest conviction trade at the moment. This company is built on a foundation of dog turds covered in cat turds. This is not a good business. In my opinion, it's fair, and its intrinsic value is somewhere around $25 a share. This is not a good company. NASDAQ 3x daily leverage versus reward looks great. I'm in from crypto, so I like volatility. Well, if you like crypto, Jacobo, I mean, go for it. I don't like leveraged ETFs. I don't get into leveraged ETFs, but go for it. By Iran? Yeah, how is Iran doing today? Okay. Not a horrible day. Not great, though. It's fine. Iran's a little expensive for me at this price. I know people are paying a lot of attention to it, and there's a lot of things to like about Iran, but this is not... Again, like I said about neoclouds, this is not my... I'm not super bullish about the long-term prospects of it. Or we see GE Vernova. There's a lot to like about GE Vernova, and it's having a very, very solid day. I mean, their turbine technology, they have an incredibly good moat. Their turbine technology is starting to get fought over by multiple industries, which is awesome. It's good news for them. And honestly, it's surprising because I did not expect GE Vernova to do the best out of all the spin-off companies when GE broke up a couple of years ago. Now it's down short term, but I think it's cheap still. I think this is an interesting entry point for ServiceNow. There's a lot of things to like about the company. My target price for them is somewhere in this neighborhood. I think if it dips below $90 per share, that could be a pretty interesting entry point. And I have a deep dive on ServiceNow on my YouTube channel if you guys are curious. ServiceNow has done the best. They've survived the SaaS apocalypse the best out of all the CRM providers, in my view. Thoughts on Constellation Energy, number one best play for nuclear? I agree. It probably is the number one best play for nuclear. As far as what my thoughts on it are, I wish they would go more into nuclear, but I know that they're limited by capital for that. What about Lumen? Interesting stuff. Very cool business that they've got on their hands. I think that the thing that I don't like how they're unprofitable though. Thoughts on SanDisk? Yeah, how is SanDisk doing today? SanDisk is okay, up 2%. We probably saw support for SanDisk at around $1,400 a share, I would imagine. I think this is where we saw the most support based on, the last technical chart I saw on SanDisk, this is where I saw the most support for them. Obviously, they've had an incredible year. The last month and a half or so, or the last, 4 weeks has been kind of rough for them. But still a lot of things to like about SanDisk. It's expensive, though. I think it needs to be a high conviction position. I think you really got to believe in the company, and you really got to believe in the future of memory to get in at this price. What about Intel earnings we have today? It's important. These are very important earnings coming up for Intel. The street's expecting, I think it was $14.4 billion in revenue and 19 cents per share EPS. So this is where they would go from being unprofitable for a long time to finally being in the green. It could go extremely well for Intel. I still don't like Intel at this price. They have a long way to go, especially with the foundry business. When do you think Nike will have a breakthrough? It's hard to say because I think that Nike's breakthrough will come when there's good numbers from its wholesale partners and its retail partners, namely like Dick's and Foot Locker. That could be it could be the end of this year, like Q4. Yeah, I maybe Q4 26. We worried about the next Fed meeting? I think a lot of people are. A lot of people have their eyes on that. What about Nokia? I don't know. I don't like Nokia. It's a meme. Okay, Indie Semiconductor. Who are these guys? All right, some other microcap play. What's cool about these guys? It's another semiconductor firm. Mixed signal system on chip solutions for advanced driver. Blah 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 blah. Parking and assist, audio assist, revert. Meh. They're in a they're pretty specific space. Let's look at they've been losing money for a while. They've been unprofitable for the last couple of years. They've been in business for what, like 20 years? There was a pretty big inflow for, I would imagine this is something for financing down here, or like maybe an equity raise perhaps. Yeah, no, I'll pass. Not a fan. Not that interesting. And then LAC, who are these guys? SpaceX and Tesla merger intensifying. Lithium America, this is the battery manufacturer, right? Yeah, these guys just build batteries, correct? Focuses on developing and operating lithium deposits, chemical process. Oh, okay, excuse me. I was getting these guys confused with somebody else. Okay, flagship asset, Thacker Pass project, and okay, yeah. So a lithium miner, no. I don't know if I think there may be a lithium's futures market. If I want to get exposure to lithium, I'd rather just do that than put a business in the way of that investment. And they got 94 employees. Their beta's insanely high. It looks like they're losing money. I'll pass. No thanks. What website? This is Barron's right here. This is Barron's, and then this is Yahoo Finance right here. Thoughts on Uber? Uber's interesting, especially with the news of a potential merger or acquisition of Grab. Ondis is cool. I think their technology is pretty sweet. I know that they recently got awarded a contract, I think, from the Australian government. I think. This is an expensive business, though. For a small defense contractor like this, trading at the valuation they are, it's pretty expensive. The stock will pop on the news of winning a big Pentagon cost plus contract if they get it. I would look at it at that point. And I know that would probably be late for an entry, but the thing is that I'm not like I'd rather actually see something like that come to fruition and then get in at a higher price. Opinions on Meta. Obviously a solid Mag 7. It's down today, but so is everything else, right? I think a combination of Meta's, or the reason why we're seeing movement to this degree in Meta today is probably because of the fact of Google's earnings yesterday. Their earnings are coming out next week, along with Microsoft's and Amazon's too. And what's going on? I mean, oil prices spiking and treasury yields spiking are probably causing a bit of a sell-off. There's tons of things to like about Meta. Even at this price, there's still a lot of things to like about them. What do you think about SK Hynix? I mean, they walk the walk and talk the talk. There's a ton of things to like about them. Applied Materials, AMAT. I'm a big fan of AMAT. I'm an investor in AMAT. I'm pitching CRM in there. ARR is up 205% year over year. Up 169%. Yeah, there's a ton of things to like about Salesforce. The valuation is a little strange, though. LEAS, that ticker's not working. RDW. Redwire. I believe these guys do. They do like connectivity, right? I need a quick refresher on them. Critical space solutions and space infrastructure. Space and defense tech. Oh, right. Okay. Pretty cool stuff. I remember briefly looking at them as far as what they've got and the technology that they have to offer. As far as we gotta look at recent financials for these guys. Yeah. This is something that's not. I mean, their TAM is probably not that big. The total accessible market probably isn't huge. And as far as the profitability, I mean, the fact that it's losing even more money as time goes on isn't good. Quarter-over-quarter basis doesn't look great either. They probably had to dilute their investors a lot here and here as well. I would imagine they're probably running low on cash. I'd have to see what the real growth is here, what the real opportunity is with these guys, because that's it's a growth play. It's unprofitable, has an insanely high beta. I'm not like I'm gonna pass. ServiceNow beat earnings and dumped. It did, yeah. But that's honestly, I wouldn't say that it's its fault. That makes ServiceNow honestly more interesting in my view. IonQ. IonQ. Love the quantum space. I think that's honestly the next big thing after AI. Quantum computing is. It's a little bit early for me because looking at the income statements for some of these quantum computing firms, IonQ, Rigetti, there's a lot of R&D expenses. I mean, it's going to be a money pit for a while. No doubt, there's going to be a fantastic future opportunity and future applications for quantum computing. It feels a little bit early for me, just a little bit early. Pitched AMAT at 200, only had one was China. I mean, I've been into AMAT for almost 10 years now. I mean, I got them like pre-split, all that stuff. It's been one of the best investments I've ever made. Really solid company. Still holding my shares despite the fact that things haven't been ideal. Whoops. Yeah, and it's up a little bit today. I mean, we had a pretty big correction over the last 4 weeks. I probably should have sold here, but, shoulda, coulda, woulda. What do you think of TeraWulf? I mean, again, like NeoClouds, I'm not a huge fan of. I know that TeraWulf, like I'd take TeraWulf over CoreWeave any day. The problem is that a thing like there's regulatory barriers starting to get in the way now. Particularly with what's going on in New York. That's not great news. I don't think they're making money, and I don't think they have been for a while. Just in general for I mean, and they had some pretty big CapEx expenses, which makes sense. And then I don't know what they did as far as financing inflows. I'd imagine they probably raised a bunch of debt. And yeah, they're losing a lot of money. Honestly, I'm just going to I'm going to avoid it. And I'd honestly have to look at their latest 10Q to see if that really was in fact debt that they raised, because if it is, that could have a serious impact on free cash flow. That's a bit concerning. Like these guys, I don't want them. Would I want to be able to invest in a NeoCloud company like this? Yes, but the thing is that they're having to rely on debt, which is, not great. Not making money. And these guys kind of took another step towards becoming the next CoreWeave. CoreWeave is one of my biggest shorts. It is my biggest short position. ASTS, I was very bearish on it. I'm not as bearish as I was after one of you kind viewers sent me their bull thesis for them. So I always appreciate it when everybody does something like that. I always love learning from people. Still a massive amount of execution risk with these guys. That's kind of what scares me. And honestly, they're still kind of in SpaceX's shadow a little bit. So I probably won't get in. Thoughts on the AI spending news? I know it's scaring a lot of people. And honestly, rightfully so. I know that Google raised its guidance for CapEx in its quarterly report. We're gonna have to see what Meta, Microsoft, and Amazon say. The thing is, though, is there's still a lot of things to like about Google. It was guidance that moved the stock price, and also just kind of what happened in the Bab el-Mandeb over the last 48 hours. I think what's moving the stock price. There's still a lot to like about Google, even at this price. Is the company currently overvalued? I don't think so. So we'll see. Maybe there's going to be a market paradigm shift. We'll see, though. Increased CapEx is bullish. Some investors disagree, though, because it's not necessarily a question of will they be able to do it. It's a question of its sustainability. Sure, they will be able to do it. I mean, a lot of them are still sitting on a lot of cash. Can they sustain that, though? That's the thing. And I think that's probably what that's what got a lot of people spooked. Do we like Amazon? Yes, I still like Amazon. I like it even more now that its price is down a bit. This is probably my favorite Mag 7 company. Shall I sell my position in Hims and or invest in other companies? I don't like how Hims and hers is not making money, and I know they have an upcoming FDA meeting. That has to go well. Yes, by Amazon. I agree. Yeah, Amazon's a good one. Even on days like today, or even if I got it yesterday, I still would like it. Why is higher capex bad? Because a lot of investors are worried about how these companies are going to continue to sustain it, and what the return on the ROI looks like for these data centers. We haven't fully seen that play out yet. So that's because they're spending so much money and they're spending it in the manner that they are. I know that there's a lot of investors are getting nervous about it. Would I buy Eli Lilly today or wait for the correction? How is Eli Lilly doing today? No, honestly, I like Eli Lilly at this price. Really solid company. I like him a lot. What a horrible year for the investors in the stock market. I hope that was a sarcastic comment. It's been a pretty good year. Viasat. Do we have a ticker for Viasat? Buy Amazon at these levels or wait for? I'd take them. Get them. I would get them at these levels. There's things. I would like it. I like Amazon at this price. I think it's the most insulated Mag 7 company as well. Just because of their retail exposure. I think the business has a better moat than like Meta, for example. The stocks you can make the most money on are the companies who are riskier and say you don't like. That's not necessarily true. Got to take calculated risk on the AI companies, sure. But there's plenty of businesses since the beginning of this year that are not AI companies that are large cap that have done extremely well. You don't have to buy small or mid cap companies that are risky, that are unprofitable, in order to see 20-30% returns. Watch your Reddit video. Can you tell me more given the recent Google news? Yeah, that was pretty disappointing. We'll see what they end up negotiating with each other. I think that Reddit was a little bit unhappy with what they were getting out of that deal. We may still see preferential treatment for Reddit on Google search. I still think that the AI license or the AI content licensing business is still something that can be viable. We'll see. Obviously, it kind of sucks though with what's happened with Reddit. Still bullish on them. I still like them though. Their revenue growth has been extremely expensive. Do I still think it? Yeah, I do. I do think it's still a buy. Yeah. ServiceNow, thoughts on the dip? I think if it dips a little bit more, it's pretty good. I like ServiceNow at this price. If it goes about under $90 a share, we may see support at that level though. That could be a pretty interesting entry point for ServiceNow in my view. So there's things to like about it for sure. There's tons of things to like about it. Do I like Nike? I do like Nike. Yeah, I'm bullish on Nike. I like their leadership. They're moving. I think their turnaround's going to take a little while because they've got a lot of inventory just sitting in China, not going anywhere. And China's their main thorn in their side. I think the core business though is interesting, and they have smart leadership that knows what they're doing. So I like them. Thoughts on Tesla? I don't get into Tesla. Don't get into automotives. So it was a good investing year. It's been everything. I mean, if you just look at the total S&P 500, if you think that's a bad year, then okay. the market overall has done pretty well. Why not automotives? Good question, Will. I think the reason why is because I don't like how cyclical automotives are. Their cost structure is extremely complex. Their capital structures tend to be not some are okay. But they're very expensive, very cyclical, and they're subject to a lot of things that's outside of their control for something that's a very expensive product to make. Like a lot of car companies, like for example, Rivian. I'd love to own a Rivian one day. They're super cool in my opinion. But do I want to invest in Rivian stock? I probably wouldn't. Ford Motor has Ford Motor ever been above like $25 a share since the beginning of its? Yeah, at like one point a long time ago, like 26 years ago, it was for a little while. Like this is what Ford Motor has done all time. So like no, I'm just not that interested in automotives. Can't Google just ruin how searched Reddit is though? No, I don't think it can because people still like for a lot of folks, there's still the engagement on Reddit is still up. The advertising revenue on Reddit is up a lot year over year. The user base on Reddit is growing. I mean, just go look at their daily active unique metrics. Within the US and worldwide, it's growing consistently, and it's been that way for a while. And it's still the preferred social media platform for a lot of people. And the engagement on Reddit, or at least advertising engagement on Reddit, is much better than other platforms because the conversations that occur on Reddit are much more intentful and they're higher quality compared to other platforms. That's why I like Reddit. What about SpaceX? Nah. Nope. Too expensive. Way too overvalued. But I appreciate the questions about Reddit. No, I mean, they're fair questions. Oracle? Nah, I'm not a fan of Oracle. My least favorite hyperscaler. They've got the most credit problems. They have the most credit risk, I should say. Target price for Reddit. It's my current target price is sitting at about $2.30 a share, I think. Just bought some Google, Amazon, now Zeta, and CoreWeave. Justin, I like all those except CoreWeave. I think you made a mistake getting into CoreWeave. Talked about Ondas last week, and I say stay, and then it went up 30% this week. Yeah, I mean, listen, stocks will do what they'll do. That doesn't change what I like. That doesn't change why I think the company is expensive. I mean, yeah, it can have an extremely good week. It can have an extremely bad week, as we've seen. Like if you told me, yeah, buy CoreWeave at $13, by the same flip side of that token, I could say, well, now it's $9 a share. It's down 25%. So, I mean, the point is that I don't pay attention to the share price as much as other people as I do to the fundamentals behind the share price. Thoughts on Micron? Yeah, how is Micron doing today? Nice. We're nearly back to $1,000 a share. The fundamentals are there for Micron. The beta's high. That means they have a high cost of capital at the moment, or higher than it was before. I mean, they walk the walk and talk the talk. The sell-off that we saw earlier this month, and towards the end of June, that was a correction. I said back then, I think that was a correction that was probably coming. But the fundamentals are still there for Micron. There's still a lot of things to like about it. What'd you say about Reddit? Go to my YouTube channel if you guys want to get the deep dive onto Reddit. Just curious on why you don't like CoreWeave. I believe Google showed yesterday that the build out will. So Justin, the reason why I don't like CoreWeave, there's like a half-hour video I made that's on my YouTube channel about CoreWeave. Yes, CoreWeave's revenue growth has been very good. Yes, CoreWeave has attracted a lot of investors. Yes, they've got 43 data centers across the United States. There's a lot of things to like about that. But the problem is with CoreWeave is their debt load is crippling them. They're competing with their own customers, and the quality of their revenue and the quality of their earnings is absolute dog crap. It's not good. Half of their $25 billion of debt they're in is variable rate debt. So that means days like today, when we saw, a 10 basis point spike in the 10-year treasury yield, likely movements in SOFR too, that puts more pressure on CoreWeave. And by the way, the more revenue they make, the faster they lose money. All right, let's look at Intel earnings. Let's see how Intel's doing after the market close. How to get info of earnings? Go check it out. Ooh, we're up 4%. Let's see. Okay, so the call's in an hour. You can register for the webcast. I don't see Q2. I don't know. Some of you guys might get the earnings for Intel before I can. I'm on their investor relations website right here, trying to see if they uploaded anything. Probably not yet. But we'll see. There's fake accounts of you on here. Yeah, I know there's a lot of fake accounts of me on TikTok. They do a pretty good job of policing that, but where do I put the Bitcoin bottom? I don't care what Bitcoin does. I don't follow Bitcoin at all. They follow me after I comment on your stream. That's hilarious, Bryson. Am I in Intel? I was. I got out of Intel when it was 128 a share a while back, and I bought Intel back in like 2022. Do I think Meta will continue to dip? We'll see how earnings come out next week, Nash. It should be pretty interesting. People are pretty optimistic about Intel's earnings, though. Your Reddit video is 1 month old. What about the yesterday's drop from the Google negotiations? That's something that I probably need to take another look at, Shady, because that can change things. You're absolutely right. At the time, I wish I had known that was going on, but I worked with the information I had at the time. All right. Intel earnings. Wow. We're up 7%. Does anyone see anything on Twitter? Does anyone see anything on Reddit or something like this? Don't see anything yet on Intel's earnings. Yeah, so the immediately following the publishing of their report, they're going to have their call at 5 p.m. Eastern today. So we'll see. Not seeing anything yet. Pretty big, though. Wow, people are very optimistic. Results are good. What do you think Intel could hit? The results could be good. I'm more curious to see what the board says. I want to know what the board's saying about the foundry. That's what I care about. Guidance on the foundry and how they're going to get delayed projects back on track, like their new Albany, Ohio fab plant. Stuff like that. Wilt, is it 42 cents a share? Intel reported Q2 revenue of $16.1 billion, 25% year-over-year increase. Non-GAAP EPS of 42 cents per share. Wow, big beat. Significant strength in data center and AI group. Okay, $6.3 billion in revenue. Wow. Here it is. Forecasting third quarter 26 revenue of 15 to 16.8. Third quarter EPS attributable to 31. And non-GAAP attributable to 38 cents. Wow, this is big. 40.4% gross margin. That's pretty damn good. That's pretty good. Client computing's up 13%. Data center and AI is up 59%. Intel Foundry, all right, good. 5.8 billion, up 31%. That's solid. Wow, they're finally in the green. On a non-GAAP basis, that is. Okay. God, so the good news is their operating margin's now 11%. That's awesome. So maybe AI is driving unprecedented demand for compute as well as we continue to execute. Intel is well positioned to capture sustainable growth across our CPU franchise. ASIC is an advanced packaging vast wafer foundry network. Q2 results represent our strongest revenue growth in more than 15 years. Nice. Pretty big news. Okay. Yeah, it was kind of a make or break moment for them, and they definitely made it. That's awesome. Very cool. Rocket Lab for generational wealth. There you go. Why are we overbetting on AI like that? 6-7, I'm not sure what you mean. Can we have figured that it's going to be a big beat when we saw SMCI? That's not. That's not a. No, I mean you're not entirely wrong, Wilt. But they're not. I mean they're not exactly like there's a lot of overlap between the two. But what SMCI does and what Intel do, it's like it's not quite an apples to apples comparison, I guess. That's not an unreasonable conclusion to come to, though. What should I be looking to sell Intel with this news? I'm not. Well, I mean, you just saw that the company beat earnings. It saw fantastic growth in each of its three segments. I don't know why you'd want to sell though. Like what? You want to take profits? Then that sure, but I mean, that's your call. Thoughts on VIX? Like the volatility index. This one. You're talking about this one, Eric? Because so a fantastic hedge. I mean, I love the VIX as a hedge. Really solid today, but that was just because of what was going on with treasuries. Tons of things to like about this. I keep it as a hedge. I kind of like. I look at this. This is kind of a backup hedge I use. I also use gold as a hedge. Micron versus Nebius. That's not even close, bro. Micron for sure. How's Micron doing today after hours? Okay, basically flat. Intel's the big news of the day, though. Intel, like, they knocked it out of the park. Like, beating earnings is like not even like really like they smashed it. Missed what I says about ServiceNow? Gee, I think ServiceNow is at a very interesting price. I think if it dips below 90, that could be an interesting entry point. Tons of things to like about ServiceNow at below $90 a share. What do I think about Rocket Lab? It's cool. I think it's cool what's going on. I need to see somebody's strong bull thesis about them though. In a lot of ways, they kind of remind me of ASTS. I'm skeptical of it, but if somebody has a strong, well-researched bull thesis on them, I'd absolutely check it out. Thoughts on Lockheed? Had an amazing day. I'm very happy. I'm a Lockheed shareholder. Yeah, they beat earnings. Their guidance was good. There's a ton of things to like about Lockheed. They had a very good day today just because of what was going on in the Middle East. They're probably the best, in my opinion. They're the best defense contractor in the U.S. That's why I own shares in them. Incredible staying power as well. They're not going anywhere. So very, very solid company. As far as growth prospects, steady but not insane. You say wait for service now to hit below 90. 91 is already so low, though. I mean, if you think you like 91, then go for it. Go for it. The reason why I say 90 is because what my analysis tells me is that I'm testing to see if that's an actual support level, which I'd imagine it probably is. So if it does not dip below $90 per share, I mean, it's still, I'm not saying that anything above it's a bad price to get in at. Alphabet buy after the, I think so, yeah. Yep. Thoughts on IREN or DGX? IREN, a little bit expensive. Oracle long term, what do you think? Massimiliano, I think that Oracle has some serious risk on their balance sheet. My least favorite hyperscaler by a country mile. And the debt downgrade from S&P was not good news for them. Are we near a low for Oracle? Potentially. This is how it's done over the last year. I mean, so here's when the OpenAI deal was announced back in last September. Things were going insane, and then reality kind of finally set in. Guys, appreciate the gifts. Thank you, El Chupapi. Appreciate you. Rocket Lab is the only fully integrated space stock behind SpaceX. Yeah, but they're still in its shadow, though. You know what I mean? If you got a good Rocket Lab bull thesis, I'll read it. I'll 100% read it. Oracle debt's crazy. Heard analysts saying this week they don't know if they can fulfill contracts. That's exactly why I don't like Oracle. That's one of the reasons I'm not. Yeah, like this is not. It's looking a little bit scary. Appreciate the hat, mustache. Thank you. Rather than Microsoft or Nvidia. Oh, God, that's a good one. That's a good question. I want to say both. I'd like to own both. If I had to pick, Microsoft, but man, I don't. That's a tough choice. Probably Microsoft. I would take both, though. Both is the right answer, in my view. Rocket Lab bought Iridium, which is the only chipset that allows two satellites to talk to each other. Okay, anything like what else? What else can you tell me? Seen Intel? Yeah, Blizzard. My goodness, those earnings. Talk about a win for Intel. Yeah, big win for Intel. And obviously with this updated data and this updated stuff, I mean, looking at this, I'm going to read the letter to shareholders, and their call begins in about 45 minutes with shareholders. Kind of does change my sentiment a little bit about Intel. Maybe things are seriously turning around for them. So there could be some things to like about them now. I'm less bearish on Intel than I was, especially after this news that we received. New information means new guidance. Got to update your models, all that kind of stuff. El Chupapi, thank you for the gifts. Really nice of you. Thank you so much. Choose right now, Microsoft or Micron. If I, for now, like if it was a shorter term pick between the two, probably Micron. They're both solid though. I have a 30 DT calling Oracle. What's the strike, Billy Bob, and what was your premium? Can we do a deep dive on Disney? Disney. Oh, sorry. I keep missing your requests. My bad. Sorry about that. With Disney, This is a weird one because Disney's fumbling the streaming game right now, but they're making money hand over fist with parks and cruises. It's weird, man. The it feels like a value trap. I would get why people would love this stock though and would get in at this price. I don't get why Bob Iger though is like screwing it up compared to his first tenure as CEO. Like this isn't like the performance of the company. It's been not great this year, and the past year is that it's like a continuation. It's just weird what's going on with Disney. I think they got overconfident with streaming, and now we're kind of seeing the consequences of this. We'll see though. It could be the thing is with Disney though is it could be very overlooked by a lot of people at the moment. There's a lot of people who could change. I'd have to do a deep dive on it. To be honest, I think if I'm Disney, I think the right move is I would explore the possibility of selling the cruise ships to Carnival or Royal Caribbean or something like this and keep the IP. But we'll see. They need to build more Disney Worlds and lands. Yeah, good luck with that. That's a deal that'll take 10 years. Guys, thank you so much for the gifts, by the way. Appreciate y'all. Who's going to dominate the space sector in 10 years? I'm going to say SpaceX probably. Oh, quite a bit of Qubit. Can we look QUBT? Can we look them quantum computing? Sure. Quantum Computing Inc. Okay. What's their niche though? Like, what are they? Well, like, are they looking for more? Let's see. Electro-optical modulators, pull devices for frequency conversion, micro-ring resonator. Okay, this is pretty intense stuff. Okay. Formerly known as Innovative Beverage Holding Groups, Inc. From 2001, and they're in Hoboken, New Jersey. Okay. Their financials probably haven't looked great. Yeah. So here's my take on Quantum. Quantum is awesome. There's tons of things to be super excited about Quantum. It feels a bit early for me, though. I mean, I was looking at Rigetti Computing's income statement earlier this week. It's not great. Not great. They're losing a lot of money. Someone says buying SpaceX at anywhere $100, but you're basically going to double your money twice in 5 years, right? I wouldn't. I mean, that's a pretty specific claim. $100 for SpaceX still feels expensive. I would look at SpaceX if it got between 60 and 70. This is just insanely expensive. Boston Scientific, Sam, I'd have to take a look. I don't know a ton about Boston Scientific. I'd have to take a look at their filings. I'd have to brush up on my knowledge of them. IONQ if you want quantum. That's the big name right now in quantum, Andrew. And I know that people are saying that IBM, despite its pretty bad beatdown recently, is something that is worth looking at. SanDisk, there's a lot to like about SanDisk, but it is expensive. If we compare SanDisk to something like so SanDisk is at 55, trailing 12-month PE, whereas we've looked at something like Western Digital, is at 33. They're in very similar spaces. They sell very similar products. So the question then becomes, why is SanDisk getting preferential treatment? Like, what is the market like about SanDisk more than Western Digital? Because they both had strong earnings. They both had strong, strong cash flow, like all these types of stuff. So why, if you really want to get into SanDisk, look at some of its competition and find out why it's cheaper. What is major dilution? They say that's what's going to happen to SpaceX and that's how it falls. Major dilution is when the company has to issue more equity. So current shareholders, their shares become worth less than what they were before because the company has to issue more shares to find more people to give them money. So that's bad. If they're raising equity or they're issuing more shares, that means your stock becomes worth less. When did I get in on Reddit? Olaf, I got in on Reddit at shortly after I published that video. So I think that was somewhere around. Yeah, I got in. I'm right about where it is now. I think it was like 165. Should going into IBM's price today? I'd have to take a closer look at the fundamentals to see if the market overreacted or not. I suspect the market did, but there's probably some real substance behind that. Intel earnings, yeah. So Intel, for those of you who are asking about Intel, Intel completely nailed it today. They knocked it out of the park. Extremely good day for Intel. Yeah, wow, up 13% after hours. So they beat. Here's the Business Wire report. 16.1 billion in second quarter revenue. It's 25% year-over-year growth. Estimated EPS, I think was around. I don't remember what it was. I just saw it. I'm having a brain fart. But earnings per share also they completely knocked it out of the park. So they now have a positive operating margin. Still, like it's mainly it's good news. It was very, very good news for the company. So we'll see how things scale from here. So it's a question of how efficiently they can scale with Intel. Because the operating margin last time I looked at their filings was pretty ugly, and now it's solid. Rocket Lab gets $250 million contract to make more HASTE vehicles in the fastest quarter launch time in history. Odiko, it sounds like you've got your stuff about Rocket Lab. So if you've got like a file or like notes or something, like feel free to DM them to me. I'd love to see them. What do you think of Workday? Probably the worst CRM/HR software in the history. Workday sucks. As somebody who's used Workday, as a company, I'm not sure. I just know Workday's product sucks. I hate Workday. God, oh my God. Where can we see your portfolio? I don't have it published anywhere at the moment. Think about Oracle and Microsoft. I think Oracle is a lot worse than Microsoft is at the moment. I would take Microsoft. Surprised it's not zero. Yeah. I want it to be zero. I hate Workday, bro. It's terrible. If you've ever had to apply for a job online, there's a good chance you've had to use Workday. It's awful software. Sucks. I won't take less than $680 a share for my Intel shares. That might be my favorite comment today. I want $680 a share for my shares in Intel after those earnings. I love that. Oh man, I see. I love that. That's something like that reminds me of something I'd read on Wall Street Bets. Wait, what'd you say about Oracle versus Microsoft? Oracle's worse. Microsoft is a better company. Oracle has bigger credit risk, more debt. The spending. They got downgraded by S&P. It's not great. Buy Oracle dip 4x from here. Yeah. Okay. Just put 2K into Oracle. Okay. Well, hey, I could be wrong. I don't see why you would invest into Oracle as opposed to better, more profitable, better positioned hyperscaler with a healthier balance sheet. Why is CoreWeave not a good buy? Go watch my YouTube video on it. More do you split your buy-ins between multiple days? I've done that before. I haven't done that recently, though. Microsoft is best value Mag 7 stock at the moment. I like Amazon more, but there's a good case for Microsoft. I get why people like it. Thoughts on Intel earnings? Talk about a Grand Slam home run. They did an amazing job. I'm less bearish about Intel than I was. I'll say that much. I got to kind of look at this price, and I got to look at the filing, got to look at the data, got to read the management's guidance, all that stuff to see if this price makes sense. Don't know if it makes sense yet. What price do you think Oracle could hit? I could see it going lower than it is, to be honest. We'll see, though. Why is bro ignoring me? Which comment did I miss? There's a lot of them, and it's going pretty fast. I can't get everybody's comment. I'm not intentionally ignoring anybody. Website is this? This is Yahoo Finance, and then this is Barron's right here. Dexcom. Dexcom Inc. I don't think I've ever heard of this company. What do they do? Medical devices. Okay. G7, G15 day integrated glucose. Oh, glucose monitoring. Okay, so for like diabetes. Diabetes treatment, blood sensor for adults. Oh, cool. Okay. I didn't know it was these guys. Interesting. What do their recent financials look like? Okay, we got growing revenue and growing margins over the last couple of years. Balance sheet health actually seems to be improving. It looks like we had. How about a quarterly basis? How do things look? Not bad. Yeah, so for a company like this that has had a decent margin for the last couple of years, reasonable valuation about 30x earnings. I'd imagine so. Like it's a question of what the growth is from here. What's gonna cause the stock to change, and what's the thing to really like about them. Over the past year, it hasn't been great for them. And since the beginning of this year, they're basically flat. So I'm sure there's a lot to like about the company. I'm sure there's things that there's reasons to invest in them. I'd have to look pretty closely as to why it is. They probably have a decent moat. They probably have decent growth. Not the most exciting play I've seen, at least at face value, but I don't know everything about them yet. Tesla's going to dump hard until Elon announces a buyout, until SpaceX buys Tesla. Opinion on Micron long term. Nick, it depends on how you define long term. Are we talking about, 1 to 3 years or 5 to 10 years? By ASTS? ASTS it's pretty big execution risk in my view. CoreWeave, I don't like CoreWeave. Not a fan of CoreWeave. It's a debt-ridden mess. Do you think Google is going to keep dropping? And what do you think about their earnings? We'll see how things look next week. I'd imagine, Google already announced. I think what Google's movement is going to be contingent upon what Meta, Microsoft, and Amazon report next week. We're probably going to see similar CapEx guidance from those guys. That might push the stock even lower. What website? Yahoo Finance. All right, guys. I got to run. There are some things I need to take care of. But I appreciate everyone's participation today. Had a ton of fun speaking with you guys. Really enjoyed the conversation. So thank you so much to everybody who participated. Everybody who gave gifts. My goodness. Thank you so much. You guys are really, 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 really generous. So thank you so much. Thanks for ignoring my question. I can't see it. I can't. How about you type it in one more time? Type it in one more time and I'll answer your question. So that way you're happy at the end of this. And then I got to run. What 3 stocks are you most invested in right now? I'm most invested in Apple, Applied Materials, and VOO, the ETF. Still waiting for Period's question, who says I'm ignoring him. Okay. So thank you guys so much for participating. Really enjoyed today's conversation with y'all. Had a ton of fun talking. For those of you who this is your first time hanging out here, I'll be back tomorrow for Friday. So is my question up? I don't see it. No, I don't see your question. I was waiting for it and I don't see it. I'm sorry. You can DM it to me. Shoot me a DM and I'll reply. So thank you guys for participating. Had a ton of fun. I'll be back tomorrow. If you guys want more deep dive, like if my answers for you guys today like wasn't in depth enough, go to my YouTube channel. That's where you get deep dives on companies. And that's like, 20, 30, 40 minute long videos. I go into the weeds on those. So go to my YouTube channel, hit subscribe there. It'd mean a ton. And don't forget to follow here because I will be live tomorrow. TikTok will notify you when I go live. So that way you don't get to miss the conversation. Because we'll definitely continue this tomorrow. We'll definitely have to see tomorrow video. By the end of the day, Olaf, yes, we should have a video on Intuitive Surgical, ISRG. That's the one I'm doing my deep dive on this week. So go check out YouTube. Go subscribe on YouTube. Hit a follow here so that way you don't miss any streams or that kind of stuff. What's my YouTube name? Just Google my name on YouTube, Andrew Brady. You'll see me. Same picture that I have on TikTok. It's me with the tiger. So go check that out. And we'll be back tomorrow. I'll be back tomorrow. So we're going to check out Intel. We're going to see how Intel performs tomorrow. I'd imagine it should be a good day. Maybe we'll see some profit taking. I don't know. But when you're up 12% after or 10% after hours, that's still pretty good. Great results for Intel. So we'll talk tomorrow. Everyone have a good evening. And until then, take care.